And that's very needy behavior in the context of I'd be doing it to seek validation, to put everybody on an even keel, to make her world better, and to have her supposedly love me more.
Yeah.
When all of that would actually have the reverse of it. It would take away the polarity in the relationship, which is something I've been very effective at doing with women over the years, is removing the polarity, because in certain ways I've been so much more in my feminine than in my masculine because my dad left. And my dad left when I was a teenager, and I didn't know how to be a man. I didn't know what being a man meant. He, to be honest, showed me a very poor example of it. I had no examples after he left that I could turn to. Yes, I saw him every once in a while, but he wasn't really, like, looking back now, my grandfather was, my mom's mom was so much more of a man than my dad was ever capable of being. And even myself, having seen that there's issues and going into those issues and having to look at them, it's been painful as hell, but I've needed to do it. And he never did it. And he's supposed to be my example of what a man is, taking responsibility for himself, for the people that are under his protection, providing, protecting, sheltering, and dealing with his own issues so he can be there for his own people. He did not do some of those things. And there were really big financial troubles when he left that were created by him that he did not deal with. So he did not deal with his issues, and in turn, I have not dealt with mine for years. And it's very interesting how when I was working with other people, and to be frank, I was working with women, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about women or femininity or anything like that, but what I am going to come out and say is that if you're a guy having issues, I think it's best that you turn to a guy first to try to help you solve your issues, because they're going to give you masculine solutions as to where women might give you feminine solutions because it's what they know. And I'm working with these people and saying, no, there's something going on with me. Like, I'm looking at my life, I'm looking at how it's coming out, and it keeps on being the same thing. So clearly I'm the issue in all this. No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. No, you're not the issue. But how can I not be? I'm looking at this like a math problem, constant and variable. I am the constant. All these other things are the variable. So it must be me. No. And it took me until 2017 to actually find someone that would admit, no, you're right. You're the problem. So now we can actually get to work.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is learning how to love myself. I've gone back to doing daily law of attraction exercises by writing down things I appreciate, things that I'm blessed, or asking the universe to bless what I'd like to have happen in my life. I'm meditating daily. I'm finding it connecting. Agnes has recommended the Ho'oponopono prayer. She can explain what that is in a minute for those that don't know it. I'm finding that when I hear her voice, I'm feeling shifts. I've done RTT therapy. I found that to be successful, but I'm wondering how much more successful it can be. I've gone back into the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's interesting what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing there from that book. And I made a list of all the different things that helped me. And yesterday when I had one realization while I was at home, it's like, okay, crap, I need to get out of here and process this. So I just got in the car and I drove and I went for this walk in nature, and I was surrounded by the fall leaves that had changed color and some of the bare trees, and it was just natural beauty, and I enjoyed it. And that's something that seems to recharge me, along with spending time with my friends, laughing. And recently it's been getting good sleep, because I've been having trouble sleeping through this entire process for well over a year now. There's times when I would sleep for 3-4 hours and have a lot of nightmares. And even this morning, I noticed that for the first time in a while, when I woke up after I had a very powerful dream, I had to pop half a sleeping pill to get me to sleep, as to where recently, because I've gotten better at releasing, and I've gotten better at Sedona Method and Letting Go by David Hawkins. I was able to take that energy and release it out of my body, and I fell asleep pretty quickly. But this was a particularly rough one, so be it. But I've also made a list of all the different things that help me, that I feel help rejuvenate me and recharge my batteries. And I'll be honest with you that before this process, I had something happen in 2016 where I learned my ex got married, and I started to take a deep dive at myself. But that was very much based on anger. And it was also, I did it and I noticed a lot of results very quickly. And big part of that was essentially forgetting about women for a month. And I became very focused internally and creating a world for myself outwards. And during that time, I was meeting women eventually once a week. And then I met one person on a plane going down for a wedding, and she did not end up contacting me. And I now know why. It was because of the energy I was putting out. But because I had started doing all this work and this woman and I did not get together, I stopped doing the work. Part of it was also because I had a back injury and my sleep became really messed up really quickly. But the way that my mind has worked for years has been, well, all of this should be like taking a pill. That this new way of work or this new way of life is not something you're going to have to live every day for the rest of your life. It's something you can do for 4 or 5 weeks and the change will happen. But the reality is that I would just go back to being the person that I was before. And I think you've mentioned that before, Agnes, that when you started doing some self-love work, you thought you could do it for a couple of weeks and then everything would be, when you started feeling good, I believe was your words that, oh, I start feeling good. And then I just let things slide and it goes back down.
Yeah.
And that's not the way you got to do it. This has to be a new way of leading your life, of being. This has to become something enough that's important enough to you that you're willing to make changes in your life for the rest of your life to improve the quality of it. And someone put it for me recently very well in this process that your life is a cake. And a woman in a relationship is either the ornament on top of the cake or the icing on the cake. Or it's like a car where the car itself has the 4 wheels, the brakes, the transmission, everything it needs to work on its own. But the woman coming along is the performance exhaust or the performance rims or the dash cam or the spoiler or the new paint job. It's the added touch to the things you already have, the thing you don't need. And the problem is that for years I've needed to have a woman in my life, and it's gone back to me being in high school when my dad left.
Yeah.
Because I've not been okay with simply being me. And the ironic thing is, the second I start being okay with being me, which is what happened last year, I got to a point where it's like, screw it, I don't care what other people think of me anymore. And that's when women start coming to me. And then the process is just repeated over and over again. So it's not something I'm interested in doing anymore. There is one other book that I've started to go through that's been very helpful for me just to have a better understanding of women and dating and relationships. And it's been Corey Wayne's book, How to Be a 3% Man. And he recommends you go through it 10 to 15 times. So that's something I'm going to be doing. And I'm also going through No More Mr. Nice Guy again to see what comes up, what still may need to be healed. And considering joining a No More Mr. Nice Guy group. And also, I mean, my perspective of being a man is that a man should be able to stand on his own 2 feet physically, mentally, and emotionally. And if he can't stand on his own 2 feet in any of those perspectives, you've got to start doing something about that. So I can stand on my own 2 feet physically. Emotionally and mentally are a bit more of a challenge for me, but I feel that that's coming and building up more and more and more as we go.
Wonderful. I'll put all the links down below to what you've brought up today, because I think there is many less men that speak out, speak up, you know. So in my experience of well, whether it's YouTube or whether it's people contacting me for coaching, I do think a lot of men try and do this stuff on their own, and, you know, they suffer more in silence. So I think hearing your story, hearing what's helped you, is really going to go forth and help those that stand behind the lines and do the little research and looking around on YouTube in the privacy of their own homes without reaching out. So Vincent, I'm really glad you've shared that stuff. And I know you're still in the middle of working on it, but I know since I've known you, there's been a big shift in awareness and in, just like you were saying, the self-love practices, being who you are, being okay with where you're at, and saying I'm a work in progress and not judging yourself for where you're at and all of that. There's been an evolution in that in the time that I've known you. So it's great to hear, you know, it is a journey. I mean, we've talked about this so many times. It's become a cliche. You have to enjoy the journey. It's a journey. It's a journey. Well, it is. It's not just get over there where the relationship is, where the love is, where the whatever is. It's not over there. It's over here. Like in The Wizard of Oz. The wizard was a fake. It wasn't getting to the wizard that was the whole thing. It was the journey and what they did for each other along the way. And it's very much the same in our own lives. It's what we develop within ourselves through the insights we have through the self-reflection and all of that. Then you go, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm looking at the world totally differently. And you are, because you see relationships, women, men, differently than you did before. It's unveiling the childhood stuff like you talked about. And we've all got a childhood. We've all got certain things that we've been impacted by. So, but the good news is the deeper the insights, the greater the freedom, the more you step into relationships with something to give rather than something trying to get. Big difference stepping into a relationship with what can I give here rather than what are they going to give me. It's like a maturing of relationship understanding. So, and you are,
yeah. I can't remember if I mentioned this, stop me if I did, but you know, the point of having a relationship from my perspective with a woman is because I can offer my gift of being myself, and my gift of my masculinity, presence, and my energy, and my ability to take action and to get things done, and to contain her so she can stay in her feminine, and be radiant and not have to worry about stuff that naturally women don't worry about. And in society, I'm learning more and more how it's my role to learn about certain things. Like, case in point, I was with someone one day at work where I was driving, and had learned that when a man and a woman are in a relationship and the woman says, you decide, that means she wants you to choose, and she's okay with going wherever you want to go. So I'm driving along with my coworker one day. Well, where are we going to stop for lunch? I don't know. You decide. I'm like, oh, that's what that means. So women, from my perspective, from everything I've learned, expect the man to take charge and to lead and to make decisions and to reassure as well as certain times that everything's going to be okay. And those are the things that I can offer of myself to a woman, along with my physical presence, my size, my humor, my generosity, who I am as a man. All of these things come together into one massive ball of me and of who I am. And they come together in their own way perfectly, but I also have to learn that. Even I was reading No More Mr. Nice Guy last night, and it came up that being an integrated man is accepting yourself, the good and the bad. And that's what that ball is. It's accepting the good and the bad of you, taking it together and pushing it out into the world with this massive radiance behind it. Because I've accepted myself, and I offer positivity, and I offer, you know, I don't want to call it growth, but I offer myself into the world and my own growth from what I've learned from, to offer that as the gift of itself, and not expecting anything in return from the woman, not expecting her to validate me or tell me I'm good enough or to prop me up. Now, if we're dating for a couple of months and I'm really sick one day and she comes by to bring me some soup, that's different than me texting her 2 or 3 times a day while I'm sick, talking to her about how sick I am. Because that, to be honest, that's sick and needy behavior.
Yeah.
And that's just going to push a woman away because she's not going to feel like she wants to be around a man like that. She's going to want to find someone else that isn't having that issue.
Ah, good stuff. This is good stuff. It's now you can add to the insights, all those things you just mentioned that you bring to the table now because you can see it clearly. Yeah. It's that now you bring your own insights to it as well, because I think that's one of the greatest things we bring to a relationship is the insights into, wow, I've done so many things wrong in relationships before. I finally get what I did, and now I can step in to this time on my own to reflect on that. But then when I do step into a relationship again, I can't not know that now. It's there, that thing of the insights that I've been really needy, and I've looked for reassurance, and I've looked for them to give me stuff. And I wish they'd teach us this at school. And can you imagine how good that would be? It'd be enormously helpful.
It'd be enormously helpful, but at the same time, we're living in a time when the roles between women and men are, I want to say, becoming meshed. Like, case in point, I think the Gap or H&M now has clothes that's ambiguous on sex between a man and a woman.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I was recently, was able to observe and see how and why I'm attracted to certain women. Because a woman that dresses more masculine, wearing flannel, flat shoes, no makeup, does not get my attention. And like, I have all those things.
Yes.
I'm losing my hair. I'd rather date someone that has always been this case. I've always been attracted to women that have got longer hair at their shoulders or past it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And there's something about naturally being attracted to a woman's feminine and a woman's energy and who she naturally is as a person, and coming together from there rather than trying to fake something or force something. And I've heard stories of women that have lost their faith in men and turned to women because at least that particular woman that they're with understands more of what she needs. And there's guys out there that, like, the way that things have shifted from the 80s onwards, the way I look at it, you agree with it, I'm about to say it, video games have really changed, I think, the dynamic between men and women. Because now there's so many more times where a guy's in the basement with his buddies on a Saturday night playing video games, rather than what happened before, which is, we're going out to the bar. Or let's go hang out in the park for a bit and have let's go have a barbecue. Oh shit, there's some girls over there. Let's go talk to the girls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's so much more now, I think, of men not knowing what to do because they simply weren't taught it. And so many dads have been absentee fathers.
Yep.
And have not been what's been the true definition of a man, the traditional definition of a man. And I look back to how my brother came up and how I came up. And yes, when parents split up, the firstborn absorbs it a lot more than the secondborn. But my brother is much more of a confident person in himself, and that's why he's in a relationship right now. And that's why he's had more relationships than I have.
Yeah.
Then I know I'm comparing myself to him, and you shouldn't compare yourself to people. But the reality is that, as I see it, when it comes to relationships, he's in a better spot now. I was a workaholic for years. I was using overtime to medicate myself. I would give myself something to do through work so that way I wouldn't be alone and I'd have something to do and I feel good about myself. And could not see until 2016 and again until last year how much that was harming me. How much that was making me feel bad about myself because I didn't feel that I had the right or had the opportunity to go out and do the other things in life that I wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
I didn't feel worthy enough of doing those things, so I just kept on doing what I've been doing for years.
Yeah. Vincent, there's so much good stuff in this. I think we will continue our conversation in a part 2 because there's so many good nuggets in this. I don't see that this conversation's finished. But to make this video not too long, we'll stop it there and we will to be continued with you. So thank you very much for coming on. And also I will make reference to the links and the things you've shared for men that have really helped you. I'll put the links down below. And do you want to say a quick goodbye to everybody before we go?
Let's talk again soon, everybody. I hope that the men and the ladies are getting a lot out of this. And I will say this, that my goal through all this manifestation work about a specific person is to be like Marvin. And I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely. I'm sure he'll see this and he'll be quite blown away by that comment.
Let's talk soon. You got to get going.
We'll talk. Thank you, Vincent. And bye, everybody. I will see you in part 2 of this because there's a lot more to be explored. Bye, everybody.